It was actually a minute or so before I started filming. My wife had nudged me and said, "What's going on?" And there was somebody running through the crowd behind us, and that's when we initially realized somebody was up on the roof. Somebody there watching the rally, trying to get a better viewpoint, and I didn't think nothing of it for a few seconds. And then shortly after that, a guy behind me said that he had seen him. He had a gun. And then when he said that, I moved over a couple feet and I was able to see him perfectly. And I seen he had the gun. And that's when I started to film. My wife ran up to law enforcement, was trying to tell them, where he was, but they couldn't seem to see him because they weren't in the right spot to see him on the roof. They were too close to the building. So it just got very hectic very fast.
Immediately, because like I said, there was commotion prior, you know what I mean? Like probably 2 minutes prior, there was a lot of commotion. That's why it caught my attention to like look back, you know what I mean? Like, so it was like, what's going on? Well, then people started to run and then we hear gun. And it was just chaotic. It was so fast. First thing is find coverage. And it was just the scariest thing. There's not a lot of places you could hide there. So we were like, granted, where we were, there was only like 50, 70 people. So it was sort of a small crowd, and we literally were trying to hide behind 2 trees just to make sure we weren't going to be, hit by the bullets. It was so insane.
Not at all. Nope. They had no line of sight. And they even looked at us and said, where's he at? And we were pointing to him, he's right there. Now, this was before I started to film, but we said he's right there. And they were too close to the building. One officer did try to climb up on the building, and he got all the way up and he just went to get up on top, and then he just kind of let go and fell to the ground. I don't know if the guy startled him or what exactly happened, but one officer did make eye contact with him, and that was shortly before he started to shoot.
I didn't really think I was, I seen the gun and then you hear the shots and then you're like, is he shooting at us? You sort of just freeze in that second, like I wasn't beside Michael when it happened. And because I froze, I seen the gun and
she went running for law enforcement to try and help them and show them where he was at. And I knew that he was not shooting towards us. I could see in the video and with my eyes that he was shooting towards the crowd. I didn't know if he was shooting at the president or just the crowd, but I could tell that he was shooting into the crowd. I will actually tell people behind me to get down because he turned our way. I did not realize until after watching it several times yesterday and today that when I thought he was looking at us, that was when he was actually killed and he just dropped down. Because by the time my video, you guys only have a short clip, but the video was like over a minute long. And when I panned back to him, he is already deceased at that point. So I knew that he was deceased at that point. But when I first seen him looking our way, I thought that he was actually, maybe going to start shooting this way. I did not realize he had already been shot.